Hey, what's up everyone? voleN here again. And today we're gonna do something a little different. So this is my first Overwatch video as well as my first tips video. So please leave a comment below with your thoughts. Adding on to this, I've played almost 200 competitive games and I have over 30 hours on Moira, which I'm sure many more people have more experience on her, but I do feel that I'm qualified to share what I have learned with others and hopefully help someone in the process. As always, if you have something that I've either gotten wrong or you want to add, drop it below in the comments and I'll shoot you a reply and possibly amend the video if I did indeed get something wrong. So stay tuned for a quick overview of Moira and some tips that I have learned over my many hours of playing her. So as we all know, Blizzard released Overwatch's 26th hero just over a month ago, a support hero who is known as Moira, biotic scientist who helped to create Reaper and who has changed herself as well. Now some of the science that she has done is considered unethical, immoral, etc., and so she was working at Oasis prior to coming onto the team. She has some unique and distinct abilities, which we'll go over in just a moment, and I hope you guys look forward to this awesome new support hero. For her first ability, which you can see on screen in the background, is her mouse 1, or her primary ability is her healing. The main thing to note about this is that it's not infinite. You can hold it down for 9 seconds before you either have to do damage with her mouse 2 or secondary ability, or you'll have to just wait the 45 seconds until it refills up on its own. Note, it doesn't need to fully charge back up before you can use it again, and it does do 80 heals per second and applies a small heal over time effect, so you won't need to hold it down. Moira's second ability is her damaging one, her mouse 2 if you're on PC. You can hold the button down for as long as you wish without worry of it running out or needing to reload. It has a range of 20 meters, that's a lot, and quickly refills her primary ability when doing damage, as you can see on screen. It does 50 DPS, or damage per second, and can target shields, turrets, traps, mines, and barriers, and it heals you as well for 30 heals per second. Moira's third ability, or her shift key, if you're on PC, is known as Fade. This is similar to Reaper's Wraith form, except that Fade grants you not only invulnerability, but also a big speed boost, and you disappear, making it good to get out of dodge quickly because they can lose track of you. The duration is 0.8 seconds, and it grants you 18.75 meters per second movement speed. That's quite a bit. There are some neat tricks that you can do with this ability that we will go over later, and it also has a 6-second cooldown. Moira's third ability, or her E key, is what's called Biotic Orb. You can choose either between a healing orb or a damage orb by using left click or right click respectively. Each orb travels at a maximum of 20 meters per second until it tethers to a player, either an enemy for damaging or a friendly for healing. Then it will travel at 5.5 meters per second until it gets out of the range, and then it will speed back up and do bounces or whatever. The maximum range of each orb is 5 meters while it is tethered, so it comes in within 5 meters, it'll tether to the enemy or the friendly, healing or damaging them, and then after that 5 meters is gone, it will speed back up and fly away. Outside of that, and it won't damage or heal anything. Kind of standard, you know. The healing orb will heal a maximum of 300 HP at 75 heals per second, which is 5 under her primary heal. It can also attach to multiple players at the same time, so you can send it into a group of your teammates and heal all of them at the same time with the same rate, 75 heals per second. The damaging orb can also attach to multiple players at the same time. Speaking of the damaging orb, it will do a maximum of 200 damage at 50 damage per second. This orb functions similarly to her second ability in that it will also target shields, barriers, turrets, traps, and mines, which makes it especially useful later on. Moira's ultimate ability, which is known as Coalescence, is a healing and damage ability in one, and you can hit every player that is within its range and within the beam. It does 70 damage per second to enemies and can do 140 heals per second to friendlies. It also gives you a 50 heal per second self-heal and extra movement speed to help you dodge abilities, since you cannot use any of her other abilities during her ultimate. It has a maximum range of 30 meters and lasts for 8 seconds. Do be aware, however, that there is a small animation that must happen before the ability actually starts, and that during this time, if you are stunned, the ultimate will be consumed. This also applies if you are hit by a flashbang, earth shatter, or roadhog hook during the use of her ultimate, so keep this in mind, as well as use it when you know the enemy Ryan has used his earth shatter or you're out of its range. Tip number 1. Her primary healing ability, Mouse 1, has a limit to how long you can use it. 9 seconds if you hold it down the whole time. So do be aware of that and don't hold it down unless it is absolutely necessary, such as tanks taking a lot of burst damage, or etc. It can also be used to hit multiple targets at once, so if your tanks are grouped closely together, you can hit both of them at the same time. This is a gigantic buff over what Mercy and Ana can do, leading to more healing output theoretically than both of them. So if you have a Reaper, a Tracer, or another squishy hero on your team who is missing health, you can tap fire the healing onto them and let the healing over time take care of the rest, allowing you to save a lot of your healing juice for when you're really going to need it, but also taking care of the damage you're sustaining anyway, poke damage. This will lead to a quick ult charge as well. Tip number 2. This one also has to do with the primary ability. It has a range of 15 meters. That is a huge amount of distance for a healer to have, especially when she can hit multiple targets at a time with it, so be aware of this. Stay in the back of your team, stay in the back line. You do not have to be in the front line. You can heal from 15 meters back, throw an orb here and there, either healing or damaging, and only move. You really need to get your healing juice back, so go forward, do some damage, get your healing juice back so you can continue to heal. Don't just go forward, throwing damaging orbs and doing damage left and right. You're not a DPS, you're a support hero, so make sure that you're healing your team. Tip number 3. Moira's second ability, the one that damages the enemy, as I said, has a range of 20 meters. This means that in most instances, you can target and kill a Pharah at her maximum height. As long as you're mobile and can dodge the rockets that are going to inevitably befall you, you should be able to get the kill on her, adding to the damage your McCree, your soldier, or whoever has been throwing her way. And if they're running a pharmacy, you can target the Mercy, and the rest of your team can go on the Pharah, allowing you guys to take down either both of them or force them to separate so that you can pick them off individually. Moira is a great counter to a flying Mercy or a flying Pharah, given her extensive range, the fact that she does 50 damage per second, heals herself, and is very mobile. So keep this in mind when you're playing against a pharmacy, a Pharah, or someone who can fly into the air such as Junkrat. You should be able to secure the kill without them killing you 9 times out of 10. Tip number 4. The biotic orb that does damage, the purple one, can target sim turrets. So if your team finds that one of the rooms or areas you need to pass through has become a microwave due to symmetric turrets, just toss a ball in there, a purple one, and it'll take care of all of them in short order, allowing you to clear the way for your team to push through. This effectively negates any effect Sim will have on your team, unless you manage to get her teleporter up in a timely manner. You can also use your orbs to poke forward to see if there is a Junkrat trap, concussive mine, or even symmetric turrets in places that you didn't think they were. So keep this in mind when you're playing Moira or when the enemy team has a Symmetra and you guys are having trouble dealing with the turrets in a manner so that you don't get killed by them. Your orb doesn't require you to be there, doesn't require you to target anything, and can do it on its own without having to worry about taking any damage. So keep that in mind and make sure that you're doing that to clear out symmetric turrets. Your team will thank you for it, I promise. Tip number 5. The biotic orbs also bounce. This means that you can trap a squishy hero in a hallway or room with a damaging orb and kill them. It does 200 damage at quite a high DPS level. It's easy to kill squishies, especially when you're also attacking them with your secondary ability. Remember this. This also means that you can either throw a healing orb or a damaging orb under the payload on payload maps to avoid it being eaten by D.Va with her defense matrix, or deflected by Genji, because Genji can deflect both your healing and your damaging orbs back at you. This also allows it to bounce up and down all around under the cart, meaning that it will stay there for longer, doing either more healing or more damage, and quickly charging your ultimate. Your orbs are one of your best ways to charge your ultimate, guys. So keep this in mind when you're playing on payload maps. You can also toss it onto the point on enclosed King of the Hill maps, such as Lijiang Tower Control Center, allowing it to bounce back and forth between the walls, continuously doing damage or healing the entire time. If you get good at measuring the angles in your head of bouncing the orbs, you will start getting quick kills, easy healing, and etc., including fast ult charge, as long as you learn the angles for those orbs. They bounce kind of weird, and sometimes they'll go through corners or walls a little bit, so you got to get a little bit used to it. Blizzard is trying to fix the walls going through things they shouldn't be going through, so hopefully that'll all be cleared up fairly soon. Tip number 6. Positioning is key with Moira. She is fairly squishy, and her self-healing from her second ability isn't a lot, so some of the more damaging heroes can take you down quickly. Keeping my previous tips in mind, you can also use Fade to get to places you otherwise might not have been able to get to, or just cut out some of the travel time between things. You can see me showing some of these off in the background. A simple explanation for how to do this is to just jump right at the end of her Fade. It'll take a little bit of getting used to before you're able to do it every time, but by doing this, you get a little bit more distance out of it, and if you hit it at just the right time, on just the right object, you can actually Fade jump up to higher objects. I haven't been able to perfect this, and that's why you're not seeing any in the video. Very sorry for that, but it does take quite a bit of practice, at least for me personally. I will make sure to link down below in the description a video to a tutorial on how to effectively Fade jump. A guy on here did one not too long ago, right after Moira came out. It's very informative and can help you better play Moira, so make sure you check that out as well. Tip number 7, ultimate usage. Yes, Moira's ultimate does do damage. No, you should not use it as an offensive ability. Time and time again, I will see Moiras use their ultimate as an offensive ability to kill 1 or 2 people, rather than using it later on to keep their tanks or their DPS up during a hectic team fight. I think the best usage of her ultimate is for when you and the enemy team and your team are in a team brawl on the point or payload or whatever it may be, and you see that your team might possibly be losing. So you pop your ultimate to save your team from death, as well as put down some hefty damage on top of what your team is already putting down. This will generally get you the point or whatever it may be if your team coordinates with your ultimate well. I've seen people literally avoid my ultimate when I use it, or just not quite understand what it does, and as such, they keep their shield up if they're Ryan, or just play very passively. Her ultimate is similar to Zenyatta's in that it can help to keep your team alive and be very aggressive on the point, since it does 140 heals per second. Which, unless someone on the other team is using their ultimate, or they are hard focusing one of your teammates, nobody should die. You should be able to keep everybody up as long as your tracking with coalescence is fairly good. So keep this in mind. Use it as an offensive way to attack the point to keep your team alive while you guys take the point, but don't use it solely to kill people. Use it as a healing ability. That's what it's meant for. It does more healing than it does damage. So please keep that in mind when you're playing Moira in comp or in quick play. Tip number 8. Make sure that you are using your healing orbs a lot. They do quite a bit of healing, they charge your ultimate at the same rate as the damage orb, and they can help you to keep some of your primary healing juice for when you really need it. You can also use it as a self-heal if really needed. As a Moira, you do the most healing in the game right now. You should almost always have gold healing unless you're being focused and dying a lot. If you see a team brawl going on, rather than tossing a damage orb in there, going about being a DPS, toss a healing orb in there. Go about healing your team. The more you keep them up, the harder it is for the enemy team to not only kill you, but to kill them as well. Doing this will lead to many more team fight wins, and overall a lot more wins in general. So just remember, you're a support hero, not a DPS hero. Heal more than you're doing damage. Alright, to wrap this whole video up, those are the 8 things that I have learned over my many hours playing as Moira and playing as a support in general. I've been playing as a support main since Season 1 and have 70 or 80 hours overall playing support in my time of playing Overwatch, which is like 180 hours or something like that. I hope that everyone who watches this video can learn something new about this amazing and great new hero called Moira. Hopefully we'll start seeing some more informed and better Moiras out there in the game. Again, if you have anything you want to add, or if you think I've gotten something wrong, please do let me know down in the comments. If you have learned something new or you just enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more. I plan to be doing at least one more tip video, probably for Zenyatta, since I played him a lot before I played Moira, and possibly more if the reception on this one is good. As always, this has been voleN, and I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll try to have one as well.